Not seen, but feared. They are everywhere and nowhere. Beware the teeth and tentacles. Hello everyone, and welcome to Homebrew Hunts. Today, I have not one, not two, but 5 brand new item types that I call mimic items. Yes, these are mimics. Do not worry, they are tame. Mostly. Just be safe, keep your fingers away from the glass, please. But anyways, this is the first of the mimic items, called the shield mimic. This item, just as every other item, acts as a plain Jane normal shield. Same for the sword, the mace, and just about every other item. Well, at least dependent on what the mimic takes the forms of. But for this one, when an enemy gets within 5 feet, oh, that's when the fun begins. The mimic, at the command of the wielder, will jump onto the enemy and attempt to grapple them. And, if it was successful, every turn deal 2 points of damage. Just enough to keep them occupied, not enough to kill them. But you can choose the method of how they would like to, get hurt. Slashing, bludgeoning, or piercing, but you can only use them once per turn. Next is the sword mimic. One of the many things you can do with it is extending it like the sword whip. Yes, that is an actual weapon. When the whip is active, you have a 10-foot range of slashing damage you can do. Not much, but hey, these are supposed to be around early to middle game items. They're not supposed to be game breaking yet. The next is the mace mimic. Sorry for the poor sketch. That one was a bit of a rush job. But I have a fantastic idea on how you can use it. With a simple command, the mimic lengthens to the length of a whip, 15 total beautiful feet, and in return, dealing bludgeoning damage from a total of 15 feet away. Gotta say, it's gotta hurt. But again, the damage is based on the weapon. A plain Jane mace would only do like 1d6. However, some legendary artificial mace would probably do maybe just a bit more. The next mimic is the plate mail mimic. This mimic does actually have a similar something to the shield mimic. When enemy is within 5 feet, the mimic can grapple them, although instead of the mimic being attached to them, it's them being attached to the mimic, which is attached to you. Hey, I didn't say it was good, just say you could do it, and plus it could be some real funny moments. But anyways, when you're wearing this item, any enemies that attempt to sneak up on you will be essentially, it's kind of hard to hide something with about a dozen eyes. The best part, this thing essentially has not only advantage, but just about everything when it comes to perception. So even with some decent good rogues, it'll still have some difficulty when dealing with the Thousand Eyes chestplate. The next item is the Thieves' Best Friend, the Mimic Glove. The Mimic Glove gains you not only proficiency, but also advantage in sleight of hand, just what every rogue needs. Here's the best part. You can't always just do a good pocket snatch, or even unlocking a door. Something else you could do is poison some needles and use that little sleight of hand to essentially prick people as they're walking by, like little assassination items. Hey, the CIA use it. Why not you? But again, these items are extremely simple. They can find, well, you can mostly find them at beast taming shops. Speaking of which, time for the lore. While not all mimics are, well, friendly, however, ones born in captivity are far less bitey. Well, at least when they get older. Plus, plenty of breeders are trying to get them less aggressive, with varied results. And who knows if that'll actually bear fruit. Wink, wink, foreshadowing, foreshadowing, wink, wink. But some of them even try to make them bigger. Crazy, right? However, there's only one true way to make a mimic bigger. Age. Like a fine wine or a good cheese. Well, some cheeses. You must let it sit and wait. After 10 years, a single mimic can grow to the size of an entire suit of armor. Roughly 5'5", 5'11", sometimes 6 foot. 200 years, and they can grow up to the size of a large carriage, needing several oxen to pull and dozens of items filled in. This ain't no pilgrim carriage. This is a big boy, and so are these mimics, but not as big as the 500-year-old mimics, which can grow to the size of a house. And although not all of them are confirmed, plenty of accounts have one mimic being the size of an entire town. But they're very few and far between. But just enough to where you start to think, is it real? But this one is only passed down through generations and generations, to only those who remember this story from decades or even centuries ago. A mimic, bigger than a mountain, stronger than a Tarrasque. The Mimic Mountain. Well, I guess it would be the same size as a mountain. But come on. As they say, there's always a bigger fish in the sea. There's always a bigger mountain to be climbed. But as they say, it's probably just a fairy tale, right? Right? Well, that's for you to decide, my DMs. Have fun with it. Trust me, you're gonna enjoy it. And, well, just think of all the different things mimics can do. Imagine a mimic book. Well, specifically an arcane book. Mimic arrows, mimic axes, mimic boomerangs, mimic traps. Okay, the last one wasn't so creative, but as you can see, mimics are well pools of creativity. Don't let me stop you from creating your own. If you have any other ideas, please leave them in the comment sections below. In the meantime, I hope everyone is having a good day, night, whatever. And end session.